Ambient Noise is a spoken word poetry collection that draws on my experiences as a factory worker during my semester breaks in 2008 and 2009. I was working on the shop floor of a nitrogen gas spring plant in Plymouth, Michigan. So we were building these doodads that you would see in the arms of robots and other machines for other factories, actually. As one of the few people in the shop who was younger than 30, had gone to college, and knew that my time in the factory was going to be very brief, I was in a unique position in that, at the beginning, people really didn't like me all that much. I was the college boy, the dude who didn't know how to build things, how to find pieces in the storeroom, and most meaningfully to me, how to have conversations with my coworkers. So I really didn't talk much during my time there. But this place was fascinating to me, and now my time with the workers in that factory has become very important to me. These amazing people had their own social hierarchy, their own rules, these ideas about their relationships to the boss, the office workers, the robots. But most importantly, the people in this factory had their own seemingly simple but truly powerful, compelling stories. They were human beings who were distinct and stressed out and strong in ways that I had never experienced before. With this project, what I wanted to do was create the voice that I didn't have while I was at the factory. I wanted to assemble the language and the kind of thinking that I wish I had been able to access and exercise while I was working there. My collection follows the narrative of a young man called College Boy on a typical day in the factory. And he begins this collection of poems, monologues, and conversations with a sort of frustration that he seems to have lost his ability to communicate somewhere in the ambient noise. There are times when this gets to be too much. The calico clustering of sounds, all in argument with one another. They cross, tangle and weave, batter rhythms and patterns against one another, noises. Each hiss feels it has more to say than any buzz could tell. Each click prefers its diction to any swoosh's swell. And I can't comprehend the language that is grinding in the gears. It's just some formulaic panic that is ringing in my ears. The closest clock tucked out of sight, but I'm keeping track of time to the tapping and the snapping and these ugly crap end rhymes. My unfettered, flowing free verse swiftly drains out from my head, and I lose the words from all the books and poems I have read. And soon, all I hear are numbers. I cannot do the math. I try to save familiar voices, throw my hand to Sylvia Plath. But she becomes a barrier, just a rattle under tones. And she has left me for her oven, leaves me inside my own to feel my bake-burnt muscles and the scorch marks on each bone. Through the blisters, little bandages, I try to reach and feel, but my language, it is lost to me, tangled in the twisted steel, and now there's nothing but this sick and queasy spinning of the wheel, and the movement of my hands alone reminds me I'm alive. They build ball after ball, stacks of 4 and rows of 5, at a breakneck pace, a nowhere race with no sign I'll arrive. Somewhere, my language, lost to me, unravels at its seams. If I only had a thread or two, I could translate what this means, but all I've got's the boom, chomp, ka-chomp, the roar of these machines. In my smudgy, grimy pocket, I keep paper and a pen. I hope my words come back so I can use them once again. A soft caress of pen strokes bleed the ink from end to end. I want to lay my hands on sentences along their cursive hips, while consonants stroke vowels as if they had fingertips, and all the vowels kiss the consonants as if they all had lips. Words in perfect pen strokes on white paper in my mind, let them wind around each image, weave their long, organic lines. free from drill bit drumming, gears percussion as they grind. But words and thoughts don't work like that. Not inside this place. No, words and thoughts like that, they are not welcome in this space. Perfect pen stroke thoughts are slow. They throw off the finger's pace. To speak those words, breathe them, is to watch them vanish there. Their bodies breaking, brittle, disappearing on the air. Fine-grained fragments slip away, cracked beyond repair. And I've learned my tongue ain't sharp enough to cut it in this world. It can't even make a whisper here, and so I keep it curled. Behind my teeth, beneath my gums, its muscles tied and twirled. But in keeping perfect silence, I've been listening in between. I hear voices I've not heard before, see things I've never seen, and slowly, softly, beat by beat, I'm learning what they mean. The language is one different from anything I've read. It talks a talk beyond the tactile pages in my head. It is a language within rhythm, a language within rhyme, a language in the gaps of taps all wrapping out in time. And there's a comfort that I find in gaps which calms my panicked ears. There, voices take deep breaths and fill the space with ears. Behind each hiss, beneath each buzz, between each swooshes swell, there, in the gaps between these sounds, each voice has things to tell. So if I let my fingers blister, and stack the baubles row by row, let my muscles bake and burn as metal piles grow, if I keep my tongue tied long enough, a language not quite lost to me, not close enough to feel, I can almost fit my whisper in the rattle of the steel. Before we do questions, I just wanted to say thank you to my thesis committee, Scott Hendricks, Dr. Jess Roberts, Dr. Royal Ward, my friends, my family, Firska for giving me the opportunity to take a summer to bash my head against the wall, listen, and read, and write. And you all, thank you all very much for coming. Okie doke. Thanks.
What is because we could not be rock stars about?
Because
I saw it on the
rock
table
stars.
of
Okay.
contents.
Something that, let's go to the table of contents. Hold on.
I think that's what it was called. It had the word rock stars.
Yeah.
There it is.
Because we could not be rock stars, one of the things that, all right, so when we're sitting around a table, building a bunch of stuff, we talk about stuff that interests us, that keeps our mind off the fact that we're doing the same thing again and again. And one of those things was rock music. We talked a lot about rock and roll, and sort of about sort of enjoying the fact that we are, like enjoying each other's company, and the fact that we're talking about rock music, even though, it would, like, ideally, in a dream world, we would all be rock stars. We're pretty happy here together, clapping each other on the back. 9 hours a day.
Have you been able to share any of this with the
I haven't yet, and I don't know that that'll happen anytime soon. It's all like I don't. It's not. There's nothing. These people meant a lot to me. It's not any situation where I've said something cruel or made fun of anyone. But I think there are some things that I explore that they might be sensitive to that I would want them to see or to hear. Quite yet. Oh, Dr. Wagner.
No, that's fine. No.
Oh.
I'm interested in the type of work, the type of work it entailed to do the factory work, and the type of work involved in writing about doing the factory work, and which is hard. I want to say which is harder to do. Is it harder to run the factory, or harder to write about the factory? That's down. So what's the?
No, that's is it harder to do factory work or harder to write about the factory?
Yeah.
Well, I think in ways that they were both probably about just as hard.
Yeah.
I think the fact that I felt like I couldn't think of things to write in the factory. What I did was I walked around, because you can't really, it looks weird if you're walking around carrying a notebook. So what I did is, what we would do is we had like these just sheets of paper, and we would write, I have to get these things from the storeroom. So I would cleverly sort of like stuff those in my pocket, pull those out and write on them. But like nothing came. That was a very difficult thing to feel as though I was stripped of that fun creative thing that I love so much in the factory. And then on the other end, going back and sort of revisiting these memories that were oftentimes hard, scary in some cases, that was also very difficult.
I'd be interested to read the whole thing down. Does it, at the end, were you always the college boy?
I was always the college boy.
Okay.
But the second time when I returned to the factory, there was this new guy, who was at the factory. He was a little bit younger than me. In the collection, he's cleverly named the new guy. So there's sort of a situation where, and I think it's reflected in the collection too, where I was that guy, and I was still that guy, but now there was this individual who I had a little bit more experience when I was talking to him.
Very good.
All right, that's it.
Do you have any more questions for Steve? He'll be outside.